There's a moment right before you click where your mind betrays you. You tell yourself you're just curious. You tell yourself no one will know. But the dark doesn't hide you. It exposes you. One man built 373,000 doors, not to let people in, but to watch who tried the handle. Every click was recorded. Every search was profiled. Not criminals, just the ones willing to look. The trap wasn't the website. The trap was the part of you that wanted to see what was behind it. And the moment you touched it, you weren't anonymous anymore. This is the story of the click you can't take back. Welcome to the trap door.
All right, welcome back to the Mind War Podcast. I'm Grandmaster along with Badger once again.
What's up, everybody?
We're about to take a deep dive into something that we really haven't thought about, but Badger kind of was thinking about it yesterday, and we were doing some research, and it's something that I don't like really much to talk about or even like to even hear about, but it's something worth mentioning that we need to break this down a little bit and let people know what's going on out there. It's called the dark web, and it's just disturbing as all get out on what's out there and what people are doing in the dark web and what is there to be seen. We're not going to touch on what's really being seen. We're just going to go around the surface of just giving you ideas that it's bad. But with that, I'll go ahead and start with Badger. Go ahead and open us up.
All right, guys. So, like Grandmaster said, we're not diving into the what. We're investigating more of the psychological breakdown. I came across a story that absolutely made me want to vomit. So, I'm going to start with curiosity as a finger point. Curiosity patterns are unique. People reveal identity through what they seek, not what they say. It's the forbidden is a mirror. Think about that. The forbidden is a mirror.
A mirror of what? To your soul?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That makes sense.
And then people project their hidden desires onto dark spaces, and just by clicking, it's an admission of desire. So all that to be brought around to...
So let me ask you this. What do they think they're going to find when they go out looking? Do they have something in mind?
Well,
or they just start clicking away like psychos?
I think they'll find information, they'll find power, or they'll find taboo content.
But is it a crime though? Wait, no, let me just jump in. Is that a crime though? To go looking for something?
No, it's a confession.
Explain.
So the click exposes the internal move. If you get 10,000 ads that pop up on your phone every single day and you don't click on them, you're telling your phone, you're telling who you're around, I'm not interested in that. If you click, you're admitting,
But what kind of person is going to click on something that's like really weird and taboo and dark and...
Well, unconscious actions reveal true intent. Unconscious actions reveal true intent. So, this one man built 373,000. I'm going to say that again. 373,000 websites.
How the heck do you have time to build that?
Coming from somebody that works with you to do our social media and these podcasts.
Takes you like hours at times to do one of our classes.
One class or one podcast.
One podcast, right.
To build 373,000. That's diabolical.
It's weird.
Yes. And it wasn't technical genius. This is psychological design.
I think it's kind of behind the scenes, in my opinion. He's trying to exploit human weakness.
Well, of course, he knows that he understands that people want to feel like they're crossing that line.
Why?
Without getting caught.
Why? If you go on the internet, you're going to get caught. Especially the dark web stuff.
And he exploited every single one of these weaknesses.
So basically, it wasn't about making money. It was about messing with people's heads.
Right.
Baiting them in.
Right.
That's weird as hell.
So, and
Sorry
again,
for saying hell.
we're not going to get into what was on these 373,000 websites that was not just shut down by some small government. It was shut down by Europol.
Interpol?
No, it said Europol.
So why would you build this thing if you're not making money, or if you know it can be knocked down? Why build it?
Because he's a puppeteer.
Explain
It's
that.
power. He's creating things,
Taboo thing.
taboo things, or posting or talking about or promoting these taboo things that he's getting paid ads for. He's getting paid for subscriptions. He's tempting all of this out there. Illegal things, by the way. I'm not just talking about he's putting up free porn. Because anybody in the world has the right, if they choose, as long as they have the rights to that porn, to put up free porn. Don't condone it, don't want to know anything about it. Just saying. What he's doing is creating something that will tempt you, so then you get a subscription. You do this because you want to see what else. Well, what else? What else? And he prays.
Is that human nature to
weakness.
feel that
Yeah.
way, I guess? To go looking for something that's weird?
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand that. People like, remember back in the old days, they had these videos that came out, Faces of Death. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, very much
People
so.
were all into that crap, right? So maybe this is the internet's version of, but it's not Faces of Death. It's more like weird stuff. Faces of Death was weird enough, people. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to Google that or check it out, whatever it is. That's some weird stuff. But I just don't understand. I mean, this is like moral restraints being lowered. It's like you can't control yourself.
Well, and that's what he prayed on. The dark web has allowed
I don't understand that.
people to reveal their hidden desires, their hidden wants, their taboo items that they can't talk about.
It's funny you said that, because I heard of dopamine, not sure what that is. The dopamine spikes when people do things that are taboo or look at things that are taboo.
Right.
Explain what's dopamine? Is that like your...
So dopamine is a chemical in your body that works as almost an early alarm system.
Okay.
So if you're in a fight or flight situation, your dopamine spikes.
So the people, then basically the people weren't trapped by these sites. They just walked into these sites or went into these sites willingly.
Right.
Because they were
They lured-
enticed by, what the heck is that? Let me look at it.
Yes. That's what's so scary.
So similar to like the fight things that go out and all the kids watch the fights and they're filming them and they put them on the sites, which has become illegal, by the way.
Right.
Which I think that, but here's the problem. Before we get going on this, I think the governments can shut these down if they want to.
Yes.
So I'm gonna leave that right out there right now. Because you go to China and you go to some of these other countries out there in the world that hold their people by the fire or whatever you want to call it, they don't allow them to get on the internet. They can shut that stuff down, but why do some countries allow it? And that's strange to me.
My opinion. Disclaimer, opinion only, not facts, not proven by anything. It all boils down to money.
Oh, yeah, the Benjamins.
It all boils. This man made so much money before the government stepped in, and the real target isn't him.
No, it's
it's the operator.
So this reminds me of when you go and you start talking about those you use those sites. You mentioned the sites earlier that I don't condone, but they usually have kids involved too in those kind of sites. The government can shut those down. People don't need to be watching that stuff.
No.
The government can shut it down. Okay? And instead of going after the people that take the pictures, which sometimes they do, they go after the idiots that are watching these things or these videos, right? Not just pictures. So if the government can shut down these sites, they can shut down the people that are taking the photos and the videos and making them, as well as the people watching them. So you have better control, GOV, government, and control the internet and say, no, you're not having that.
Right.
You're not allowed to watch that. And the people should have better self-restraint to go into something. But I understand human impulse.
Right.
And human behavior is is sometimes you can't really control it. I get it, but the government can help you control yourself. But you're right. The government sets up a sting operation. They bust the people that are going to the dark side and watching these weird things, and they're not going after the idiot that created these sites. So is he part of their plan? Because everybody that goes to jail and prison over these things, it's money for the government.
That's right.
So now that makes more sense to me, to why this guy built those sites. And is he cahoots with the government? I'm not saying he is. I'm merely pointing out a thought.
And I'm not going to reveal the estimated dollar signs that was made just off of these 373,000 sites.
So just so our listeners know this, that every time you go out on a site, and especially if it's a taboo site, let's just call it a taboo site, something that normal people, no, I shouldn't say normal, most people don't go on. As soon as you start hitting the keypads, the whoever's watching it or investigating it knows.
Well, and that's a great point, because you're leaving your digital imprint.
They're getting flagged.
As soon as you're clicking
Keywords.
on one of those, it's leaving a digital imprint. It is no different than you walking outside, taking your thumb and pressing it on the window of your car.
The problem is with all that is they're not really catching criminals, they're catching people that are curious.
Right.
And making them criminals. Now, if you're talking about the other kind of stuff that we were talking about earlier that I don't even like to mention, when you're dealing with little children and you're looking at that kind of stuff, there's something wrong with you, you're a criminal.
And there's a special place in health set just.
And you need medical help. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
When something like that makes you want to look at it. Some of these other taboo sites we're talking about, they're now have nothing to do with children. But I think what they're doing is they use interest profiling, the law enforcement, to catch felonies, to catch people, offenders. Interest profiling. That's another topic we can talk about later. But they set up a certain amount of a certain ideology of what someone would be like to go look at these sites, maybe what they think their mindset is like. So they start looking for keywords. So when you type in keywords, you're being flagged. They're being flagged that you're looking.
Right.
Right. So stop looking for stuff that's weird. Quit. I mean, good Lord. You know.
And protect yourself, ladies and gentlemen. If you were a person that visits those sites,
stop.
Damn sure don't subscribe. Don't pay a monthly fee. We're talking about millions of dollars, and the whole point of this story was the story is about the user. It's not about the guy that created this. That's
the problem. They don't go after the source.
Right. And he sits back. Now, thank God, overseas government located him, shut him down. He will never see the light of day again, because he's going to be in a prison that's not
that we know of.
That we know of. That's
that could be a story.
Could be, 100%.
That's why it's called the Mind War Podcast, because we don't just look at what they tell us is real. We start figuring it out for ourselves, because my problem is everyone has a shadow self. We all have a dark side of us that we don't want people to know, right? We sometimes unconsciously repress within our psyche this part of us. We don't always, I don't ever act on that kind of stuff, but there's people out there that will act on their impulse and want to go out and without judgment look at things, and they need to learn how to control that, because people need to be told it's not safe to go look at this. If you don't go look at it, guess what? It goes away.
Yeah.
If people don't look at these things, they stop manifesting, they stop being relevant, and the reason it's not in the news is because the law enforcement that be want it to be relevant for them. That's how they catch the creeps and the weirdos. You're going to catch them anyway.
Right.
But let people know it's not legal. Let people know it's a dangerous mold, because it could be some young kid that's getting involved in it. And if you know this is a bad thing, you can stop them before they get into a pit that they can't get out of. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. So it all goes back to one point. What were you hoping to find in the dark? People look for the version of themselves they're afraid to admit exists. And what does that say about the part of you that clicked? It says the shadow was already alive. The click just illuminated it.
That's weird, right, in itself. I mean, they spend all the... So what happens, I think, what people do is they go in and they think, okay, no one's going to know I'm in here. Next thing you know, the trap door opens and they fall through. They don't know. They don't know they've fallen through a trap door. And now everybody knows they're looking at this weird stuff. See, I know this stuff. You know this stuff, right? We know not to go look at these kind of things. But there's so many people out there that don't know. People are waiting for you to go look at these things so you can get hemmed up.
Yep. And
right?
you will get hemmed up.
Stop looking at weird stuff. Don't stop looking at stuff that you shouldn't, that you know in the deepest recesses of your mind, this ain't right. Somebody's being hurt here for me to look at this. Either it be an animal or a person, you know, or whatever. Someone's suffering from this video or these pictures that I'm looking at, yet I'm looking at them anyway. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
I mean, what kind of evil manifests in a person? But you know, the demons are real, devil's real, man. Running around and getting people all twisted up just to get them in trouble.
Right.
You know, and I think the problem with the dark web people think that they are looking at something that no one knows they're looking at, because it's called the dark web.
Right.
Sometimes I believe, in my mind, that this is just my opinion. I'm not saying that it's a fact, that I think that the powers that be create the dark web, talk about a little bit of the dark web, because everybody understands what the dark web is, but maybe isn't sure what it really is, but they understand what it means, right? So they create this because if you hear enough little backstories, or if you know it exists, some people that are weak-minded will go, well, I'm gonna go look for this. Just you looking for it puts you on the top of the trap door, and once you find it, the trap door opened. And that's where you need to realize that you need to stay away from the dark web. We get very concerned when we go out looking for stories that are not on the mainstream news media, because I know we're being looked at because we're putting out stories that people aren't talking about because it's taboo to mainstream media. And that's fine. That's why we have this podcast. We're not saying that the government's evil, the mainstream media is evil. Let's not get us confused. We're just giving you stories that no one's willing or wanting or able to talk about. They're just reading teleprompters. We're going out and looking for information. There's the difference.
And our information comes with research and a call to action on your part. We're giving you the information that we researched and a little bit of our opinion, but you ultimately, as the listener of this podcast or the watcher of this podcast, you have the ultimate decision of, do I want to click and listen to another podcast or I don't? It's the same with the dark web. And that's what people don't understand. They think that, like you said, well, I'm on the dark web. Nobody's tracking me.
But why? Why are you on the dark web? I think they're looking for they're looking for a part of themselves they didn't know existed.
They are, 100%.
That can only be what it is. I mean, why are you looking at dark web? What is wrong with you?
Curiosity.
What are you in your mother's basement with a bag of Cheetos and you have nothing better to do with your life? Go get a job. You know, go be a productive member of society. Why are you looking into the dark web? I understand people are curious. I get it. I do get it. But come on. You know, let's have a little bit of self what's that word? Restraint. You know, I mean,
respect.
Yes.
Or respect.
Yes, that's a good one. Yes.
So that about does it for our time. Grandmaster is going to sign us out. I appreciate you listening to us, giving us 15 or 20 minutes or 30 minutes of your time. We have a blast doing it. Have a great day. Yeah, again, thank you for this. This was a weird topic. I know an uncomfortable topic for a lot of people, but it's not one you're going to find on the news. But you'll find it at Mind War podcasts. Try to always remember that, you know, to be kind to one another. That's the most important thing, and respectful, because that's all we have really, is to give ourselves respect to one another.
And when you do that, it takes everything right to where it's supposed to be. So have a great day. Remember to be kind. This is Grandmaster's Badger. It's been a pleasure. Stay tuned for the next podcast.